This short video will review some of the issues associated with ramp entries into swimming pools. A ramp should be built with a 12:1 slope ratio. In other words, a 4-foot deep pool will require a 48-foot ramp, such as the one shown here. Aquatic wheelchairs have fixed rigid armrests that make transferring on and off of these chairs very difficult. With the help of our friend Alan, we're now going to see an example of an able-bodied person using a wheelchair to enter a swimming pool by a ramp. As you can see, as Alan goes down the ramp, he has no trouble. Gravity kind of helps a lot. And then when he gets down to the landing area, you notice that he's struggling a little bit. He's pushed forward quite a bit in his chair, and in a little bit we'll see why he's doing that. But then when he gets back to the sloped area again, there's no trouble. Gravity just kind of takes him down to where he can get deep enough into the water, transfer safely off the chair, and then go for his swim. Now, once Alan is finished with his swim, he gets back into his wheelchair and begins to work his way back out of the pool. And you notice that there's a little bit more of a struggle going uphill than it was downhill. Of course, that's understandable. And you'll see that he's really kind of pushed forward in his chair to help bring himself up out of the pool. See, he's really kind of pushed forward in his chair quite a bit. You notice how he's almost coming out of his chair to get it up the slope and around the corner. Now once he enters this section, I want you to really pay particular attention to his ab muscles. It'll really kind of focus in on these in just a minute. You can see how they're really kind of flexing as he's making his way up the ramp. This is very important because Alan, of course, is able-bodied and he has full use of his ab muscles. But what if Alan were paralyzed and he didn't have use of those muscles? And in the next example, we're going to see what would happen in that circumstance. Now what we've done in this next sequence is we've asked Alan to imagine that he were paralyzed from the middle of his chest down, and he didn't have any use of his ab muscles, and he had to sit back in his wheelchair the way people typically do when they sit in wheelchairs. And you'll notice that his center of gravity's changed a little bit. He's not leaning forward as he was before. And once the chair reaches a point where it becomes buoyant, and Alan can't lean forward, the chair kind of wants to tilt backwards and knock him back out of the chair. It doesn't really affect him when he's going down the ramp because when the chair's tilted forward, obviously all the mass is tilted forward as well. So when he's on the ramp, things are fine. It's just when he's on a level section that the chair wants to kind of kick him back out of the chair. Okay, now he goes down the ramp. Okay, now watch coming back out of the pool. It's the same thing. You see that he's going to really struggle here. The front of the chair is lifting up because all of his weight's pushing backwards because he can't push forward because he's paralyzed. His muscles are paralyzed in his chest. So the front of the chair is tilting forward and he's really trying to work it to get it up there. Now in a section here, Alan's going to cheat a little bit. He's going to grab the side of the rail and pull forward. And as he grabs the side of the rail, you'll see that he's leaning forward, which sometimes a paralyzed person can't do that. So he's going to help himself back out of the chair, but you can really see the struggle here. He's really kind of pushing himself and forward, trying to keep his balance and keep from having the chair tip backwards on him. And that's one of the issues that they have with these types of chairs, is that they do float and they want to kind of send the person reeling over backwards with his legs over his head. Now watch what happens. Now he's on the flat surface again. And now he's trying to make the turn, and you can see he's fighting with the wheelchair, wanting to tip over, trying to maintain his balance, and also get the chair around the corner and back up out of the pool. One of the things that could be used to compensate for this, sometimes you'll see what they call little anti-tip wheels that are on the back of a wheelchair, which are wheels that tip back to prevent the wheelchair from going end over end like this one's wanting to do. Okay, see at this point Alan basically just gives up and he's going to lean a little bit forward and just pull himself out of the pool. But this is an example of a disabled person using a wheelchair to get into a swimming pool ramp. Let's just take another look at this stability issue, and this is one where Alan has actually put the footrest in place, and you can see that the chair becomes very unstable when you're using that wheelchair because it makes you want to tilt back even more than it had been. So now we're going to let Nicole and Alan demonstrate the safest way to enter a swimming pool, and we'll review just a few of the issues that we discussed. Transferring to an aquatic wheelchair is difficult because of the rigid armrest, the fixed armrests that are on there. We've seen examples of the instability of these types of aquatic chairs and how they should incorporate an anti-tip wheel in the back of them. Because of these two issues, independence can be a real problem. It may be very difficult for a person to show up at a pool all by themselves and try to get in and out of the water using this method. And then the final two issues that we need to talk about are the space and the cost involved. You can see that a 48-foot long ramp obviously takes up a lot of space. This was a well-designed installation because it doesn't interfere with the pool, but it obviously is going to cost a lot of money. And this is why, of course, we believe that pool lifts are the universal access system.